What's going on, fellow A-pluses? It's your boy Adam Perez, man. We are so back with a brand new episode review as we're set to get into episode number 9 of X-Men 97 titled Tolerance is Extinction Part 2. That's right. We only got one part left. Next week is, in fact, the season finale. This is the penultimate episode, and you want to talk about just a beautiful layup for the finale next week. I thought they set up a ton of great things in here, man. And let me just say, before we even get into this, I know I'm new with you guys here reviewing the episodes. I know you've gotten most of these episodes from Indy himself, but I gotta say, man, if I was speaking with you guys week to week, I would probably be saying, man, this is probably the best episode of the season so far. Like each and every week, they continue to sort of just like one up themselves. I swear. I don't know how they do it, but they certainly do. I think for me, the only weak episode that we've had this season is probably the Jubilee video game episode that we wind up getting. And I think that even had elements of the Storm and Forge storyline a little bit. Outside of that episode being maybe the weakest for me, I've really enjoyed how they've handled every single episode. I really feel like since episode 5, this show is just, I mean, look, episodes 1 and 2 were definitely great, especially the Madeline Pryor stuff, but I feel like maybe was it episode 4 or episode 5 whenever we start getting to Genosha. I mean, things really hit the fan and the pacing just continues to just be a full go, if you will. There have been times that I have felt like they've done a lot within um so few episodes that sometimes it feels like it's a little bit too much, but I do feel like they have really stretched that out a little bit more, and they've really have been focusing a lot on the characters and the attention, the story details and stuff like that, and the way that character stories have kind of come together, like the return of Forge and Storm in here. I've really enjoyed it. The idea of having an episode where you focus on Charles Xavier and now he's part of the team too. I just think that they've really intertwined a lot of these stories from the very beginning to go ahead and hopefully make for an incredible season finale in which I think they're really going to go ahead and stick the landing, man. So I've been hella impressed so far with what they've been capable of doing in X-Men 97. And honestly, look, we haven't even finished season 1 yet, and I can't wait for season 2. I really hope that the wait is not that long till we get a second season. I know a season 3 is going to be on the way. I know I've mentioned, or at least I've heard the idea that they want X-Men 97 to keep going for as long as people will continue to watch it. So bring it on, man. I'm certainly here. But look, we've got one more episode to go. Let's talk about episode 9, the penultimate, the setup for the finale here, man. And I gotta tell you, this was intense. This was intense. We had some incredible moments in here. One, I'm glad that we got sort of like, we got like two father-son situations happen in this episode, or moments that I was a really big fan of. One, the returning Charles Xavier. I thought it was really powerful in the idea of like the dream that Charles had for Cyclops and Jean to eventually be able to leave the X-Men. You know, his intentions clearly were true and pure in the sense of Magneto taking over the team and really thinking that, you know, Scott and Jean were going to go off into the sunset and certainly raise their daughter. So much to the point to where he kind of thought, hey, I can kind of chill in outer space and have a life with Lilandra and do other sort of meaningful things, you know? And I just found it fascinating how Scott kind of pushed back at the idea like, you know, sir, I appreciate your dream, but it wouldn't have mattered because had something else gone down, whether it had been you, Magneto, another crisis, I would have come running anyway. And there is just a really great sort of mirror image that Professor X sees in Scott when he realizes too, like, I came back also, right? Like clearly his dream isn't fully accomplished, or the vision that he had isn't necessarily there to where these characters can easily walk off into the sunset and live a normal life. They will always continue to come back to this school, to this team, all in a fight in order to go ahead and try and save Mutanum and work with the humans, sort of thing. So I just thought it was really cool and full circle in regards to seeing Professor X's true intentions, and how at the end of the day the mission clearly still isn't done, as they have both managed to certainly still stick with this team. And then the other father-son relationship moment, just the idea of Scott and Cable having a brief moment together. You know, Cable clearly coming around to the idea that, look, this is his pops, you know, the hard feelings friends seem to be gone, but he definitely has that animosity towards Jean. And I just really like that moment of him, of Scott amplifying what makes Jean great in regards to, go easy on her, pal. Like she may not be your mom, but she's just as great of a person as Madeline Pryor. Just to put some respect on your mother-in-law's name, if you will. And just that moment of, like let's just go kick some ass sort of thing. And I think that's a really great sort of father son kind of bonding moment. So those two moments when it comes to the father son aspect really jump out at me. I really love the reunion between Jean Grey and Storm, and here you really have we really have felt their bond sort of all season long. When Jean came back, her sorrows, the idea of Storm sort of wanting to leave, telling her about her dreams, about the idea of wanting to be human or not have her abilities and it coming true. And again, another full circle situation where Storm winds up coming back to join the team. And I gotta tell you, anytime Storm speaks, we gotta listen. I think she just drops in the most incredible wisdom and the most incredible dialogue, and you just see how much the team absolutely loves her. In that huge embrace from Jubilee, the great sort of sister moment before they go ahead and go on their separate ways for their mission. I just thought it was just really touching to kind of see the relationship that Jean and Storm wind up having in here. So it's fascinating choice for them to go ahead and split up this team, blue and gold. I'm always interested to kind of see what team members are working together. How powerful is that team for each particular mission? But it does not look like it goes well for pretty much anybody. I think for me, my favorite moment of this episode, aside from the idea that Wolverine gets his damn adamantium pulled out of him. I mean, talk about an oh shit moment. Like, I'm so glad that this we got that iconic scene from the comic books replicated in here from in cartoon and in animation form sort of thing. With this season so far, they have had some really big sort of comic book moments kind of brought to the small screen in an animation form, and the fact that they've been able to take so many big moments in comics and let those moments just feel very fluid in regards to the progression of the story without feeling too out of place. I mean, damn, I think they've done a remarkable job in there. But for me, it really comes down to once again that confrontation between Professor X and Magneto, best of friends, worst of enemies, sort of thing. And that's where we left off at last week when we did our review. Was what's the situation going to be like? That was is Magneto enemy of Earth, right? Like, is he now going to find himself on the opposite end of the X-Men team that he was once taken care of? And the answer very much is yes. I love the gauntlet too that Magneto throws down for the team. Like Charles, you were not even like I'm not even gonna lie to you, man. Like, I got into this episode and heard everything Magneto said, and I found myself on Magneto's side. Like, I'm thinking to myself, like, Charles, like, your dream, bro, is just so outdated right now. Like, I appreciate what you want to try and do. And that's crazy for me to say, but I think Magneto pointed out the idea, like, Charles, you were not even here, my guy. Like, you didn't even see Genosha. You didn't even see what the humans did, right? I love that he brought up Leech, the idea that he literally looked this kid in the eye and told him he was going to be okay. And Magneto had to literally watch this kid perish in front of him, sort of thing. Like, that's the type of thing that will make a man go insane and really just want to destroy everything. So there is a part of me that's like, I don't blame you, Magneto. Like, I honestly do not blame you. And it's a really uphill climb now for Xavier to get the rest of the team on board. Hell, get humanity on board. Him talking to the president is like, you haven't been, you haven't been around, sort of mentality. His team feels already some type of way about him. Rogue has animosity towards him because he wasn't around, right? So, I mean, Charles can say all he wants to, But the X-Men firsthand, without having him around, have really seen the evil that is, humanity, and their, the pushback that they continue to have against mutinum. And so, you know, Professor X was really arguing from a really weak position, and the confrontation between him and Magneto in here was absolutely brilliant. Just seeing the two different perspectives and the idea of Xavier and ending up recruiting couple of his students, getting Rogue to stand by his side, which again, I dig that Rogue outfit. I truly do. Like, don't get me wrong, like I love the classic, costume that she's been wearing this whole entire show. But the callback to her villain days when she was just in the green and the white, I thought was absolutely breathtaking to see. It definitely harkens back once again to like Age of Apocalypse vibes that I get of seeing Rogue next to Magneto's side, and even seeing Sunspot. Like I remember Sunspot from the Age of Apocalypse on the X-Men team working alongside the two of them also. So to kind of see Roberto in here, who already feels some type of way about what his mom did, which again, I don't blame that kid, is now kind of taking a step away from Jubilee. And Magneto has sort of created like a little bit of a civil war between our X-Men characters, and it's pretty incredible to kind of now see Sunspot and Jubilee facing off, or Rogue and Wolverine kind of going toe to toe. It's amazing what Magneto has been able to do, and really get into their mentality of having them on his side. So really great stuff, man. Really great dialogue, really great moments. The callback suits to the giant-sized X-Men comic book series, right? Getting Cyclops in his classic blue and gold outfit. Storm already rocking the classic outfit. I mean, Marvel Girl, right, with the green and yellow fatigues, not fatigues, but the green and yellow costume. Man, I loved all the callbacks in here. Oh, Wolverine and his brown and tan. Look, this may be, I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion or not, but I've always loved Wolverine's brown and tan costume more than the yellow and blue one, to be quite frank with you. I think maybe when I first got into comic books for X-Men, that might have been his color scheme. So that might have been why I've been so easily attached to that color. But incredible, man. To kind of see the battle on both fronts was pretty cool. Great editing in regards to going them back and forth. The fight between Sinister and Jean Grey was pretty cool in the sense of the symbolism that it certainly holds. I didn't even expect Sinister to even get involved in this fight. I honestly thought this is just going to be strictly a Bastion and Sentinel battle, but the fact that Sinister's trying to get in on the fun too, I think is a really nice touch, especially when he has to go up against somebody like Jean Grey. She's got a bone to pick with Mr. Sinister for sure, so it definitely feels quite fitting. But I'm really confused at the idea of Cyclops, stopping Xavier. Like, I understand the fact that the team needs more time, but I do think that it's something like, I still think the idea of Xavier taking over Magneto's mind wouldn't have hurt that situation. But Cyclops clearly thinking that he's lost Jean again. I'm kind of curious to see how that Cable and Jean Grey battle ends. They definitely tease at the idea that maybe she died or she lost that battle, and Scott certainly feels some type of way, thinking that the team needs more time down on the island. But to be the one to stop that psychic attack and leave Professor X vulnerable, like, really pretty much Scott is really the reason and why they find themselves in the position that they certainly do right now. And I gotta tell you, man, another O-ish moment in here, besides Wolverine getting his adamantium pulled out, was him literally stabbing Magneto. I honestly did not see that coming whatsoever. But leave it up to Bub to be able to sneak up behind him and get that final blow in. I'll be interested to see what happens with Magneto when you got your body pierced through by 3 claws. How do you survive this moment? Do you survive this moment? I have no idea, but season finale is going to be absolutely bonkers. But again, shout out to the writers for taking some big moments in X-Men comic book history and intertwining it into a very cohesive and incredible story that they've managed to tell us. Like at this point, I'm just thinking to myself, like, what else do you have for us for season 2? Like, where is this gonna go? And look, I have been seeing a lot of people suggesting that Onslaught is coming. I'm not under the belief that Onslaught is going to be formed in the finale. I can easily see the psychic connection and the link happening between Xavier and Magneto in next week's episode, because I think in the comics, Charles Xavier makes Magneto catatonic, if I'm not mistaken. I think he has such a aggressive psychic attack on Magneto that he just literally shuts him down. So that could be where we lead to, and then in turn, Magneto's anger and stuff gets infused with Charles Xavier. So I think Onslaught is gonna end up being more of a slow burn. I don't. They may tease it like with the very finale of the finale, like post credit or like the final sequence. They may tease at something. But there's a part of me that doesn't think that we'll get an Onslaught at the end of season 1. Maybe that's something that happens mid season 2, end of season 2, and you slow burn the changes that may be happening to Charles after whatever happens in this finale. So I do think Onslaught eventually comes. I just don't know if he comes as early, like in his full form by the end of next week's episode, but I can see the beginnings of it and a great payoff come season 2. Look, I'm blown away, man. I continue to be hella surprised. But look, at the end of the day, those are just simply my A+ opinions. I always want to know yours. Look, what moments, storyline moments, character development moments, action moments that you guys want to go ahead and talk about. At the end of the day, these are just simply my A+ opinions. I always want to know yours. So let's continue talking about X-Men 97 in the comment section box below. It definitely helps the algorithm, and I love discussing this show with you guys. So until the finale, I'll certainly see you guys then. But until next time, do me a big favor, man. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.